So your back would probably be arched more in this direction here. You wouldn't hunch your back. You could, but you might have more of this type of a posture like this, where you're angling forward. And the gritty teeth. The furrowed brow, squinty eyes. Angry brows. Hair coming sharply forward. Legs further apart so he can get ready to attack. A wider stance on his legs here. Shoulders up high, arms bent, fists. So I've got the hand up and away this way, but I could pull it down in this direction here. Keep the line straight. Gives it more power. The straighter the line is between the wrist, this line here, straighter, the more powerful it becomes. And then clench the fingers here. So you get like universal symbols of hands. It's always good to do sketching of hands. You've got your own two hands in front of you at all times. One of them is going to be used for drawing, so the other one you can say, hey, could you please pose for me so I could draw you? And it'll go into a really nice pose, you know. And then you can draw whatever it's doing. Okay. And if you want to do it, so if you're right-handed and you want to draw your right hand, take your left hand, put a mirror in front of it, and draw the reflection. All of a sudden you get your right hand. I'm looking for the line of action, S-curve line of action running through the character, S-curve down here. More of a forward stance, and then bring the other arm over here. Looks like he's shaking his fist, saying, come on, I'll take you on. You want to fight? I'll fight you. Flip the ear up. Okay. Nice aggressive stance there. So now let's draw the character scared. If you're scared of something, rather than going forward towards it to attack it, you're going to draw back away from it. So, head would be further back here with the body forward in this position. The head turned towards us a little bit more. You could use the same type of mouth position as this one here. Turn it down a little bit, and then open up the eyes. Instead of them being scrunched down in anger, they're pushed up and away in surprise. And the hair standing on end. Yikes. Ears up and back. And turn the torso So this is the chest up here, but then twist it. So we're turning the pelvis out and away and bring the knee up. He's trying to protect himself. The legs scrunch down underneath. The shoulders up way high up here. We could do the arms straight out like this. Yeah. Or we could push this hand out. We're trying to fend something off, like, no, stay away. And opening up the hand wide. Even change the angle of this just a little bit so it goes more like that. Okay, so the attitude of the body will tell you an awful lot of what's going on. I can take his tail and wrap it up underneath there, sticking his tail between his legs. Sort of the universal symbol for fear for a dog. So you're looking for these icons that universally, no matter what language you put this in, no matter what country you take this to, you present the drawing to someone there, you ask them what is the emotional context of this character, and they should easily be able to identify it immediately. That the character's scared of something. The character is angry about something, or aggressive. The character is very sad. Character is very happy. Okay? So we can attach emotions to our drawings based on the attitude and the direction that the body is facing towards or away from something, the curvature of the spine, the attitude of the head, the posture of the hands, even the positioning of the legs will all dictate visual icons to say this is what the character is feeling. All right? So it's just a long form of saying scared instead of writing it out in simple letters. You're drawing it and letting people see it. And so this is what we want to try and do in our animation now in the larger context of things, is we want to go back to what we talked about a long, long time ago when we first introduced the idea of what is animation all about? What is filmmaking all about? What is entertainment all about? It's all about touching someone else's emotions, pulling their emotional cords and making them feel whatever it is that the character feels. So if the audience is looking at the character and they don't feel the same type of fear or the sense of fear that the character has, it's failed. Right? If they look at that and they say the character is happy, you wouldn't say that looking at this drawing. But if they can't tell what the emotional context is, you haven't touched them. And so that's what we want to try and do in everything that we're drawing. So now, when it comes to your actual run cycle, let's just talk about the mechanical aspects of it. Right? The run cycle is similar to the walk cycle in that it has its two primary key poses. So in the walk cycle, if I just block out the character very, very loosely here, in our walk cycle, we had our full stride pose, where the character was essentially in this type of a position, and then we had our mid stride pose, whether it was up or down, depending on the type of walk that you wanted to do. So you could have your high point up higher if your character's legs were straight in the middle, and then your crossing pose is the leg from the back coming forward. So between those two drawings there, we have a very rudimentary walk cycle. Okay? So if you just shift the drawing so that This is now the leg that's closest to us. This is the one that's furthest away. And this is the leg that's closer to us, and that's the one that's furthest away. And then you flip the drawings and you go to the opposite. So now this is the one that's closest, this is the one that's furthest away. You can see that just by 2 drawings, you could imagine that that is a walk cycle, 4-drawing walk cycle. All right? So the run cycle works on basically the same type of a principle. It's just that in our mid-stride, this one here, this is the power position where we contact the ground and we're basically propelling the character up off the ground so that our full stride position, the character actually leaves the ground. Both feet are off the ground at the same time. Right? So what we want to do is we want to get the character elevated up in the air. Now there are standard stereotypical run cycle poses, so that if you were doing an illustration, I've done this lots of times before, you know, for like a poster of some sort or whatever, you would have the run cycle pose would basically look like a big giant S here, where you would have the one foot back here like this, the knee is up here, the knee is down here, and the other foot comes forward. So there's your standard run cycle pose. Okay, and then your mid-stride would be your contact point, but it would be slightly further back like this, and your leg coming forward would look more like that. So it's that type of a position where the character actually physically has to get off the ground. Okay, so it's the contact power point where you're pushing the character up off the ground, and the character hovers in midair as they go into that full stride position, and then they touch down with their foot, drag it back, and power up. Right? So those are the 2 basic key poses that we want to try and get the attitude for. So here's now where we go from the standard type of a pose. This is your S-curve pose that you want in your full stride. Now what you have to do is you have to couple this together with the emotional context of how your character is going to be running. So you have to think in terms of, is the character happy? Are they sad? Are they angry and aggressive? Or are they scared of something? Right? So in this idea, what we have to do is, A, we have to choose the emotion. Then the emotion will sort of dictate the direction the character is moving towards whatever it is that they want, or they're running away from something that is chasing them. So obviously if you're scared, you're not going to run towards something scared, right? You will be running away from something. So that will partially change the attitude of the body posture. Okay? You may not have necessarily, in a scared position, you wouldn't have the character scrunched over like this, as we did in our scared pose here, where the character is bent back and away. What we would then do is we would angle the character forward instead.